All right, what's up, everybody? This is the first edition of the podcast and the only edition of the podcast, depending on how well it goes. So today I have Matt Coda on the show. Matt Coda is the founder of Vive Media, and if you guys follow me at all, you know a little bit about what he does, but I'll let him give you a quick intro.
I'm Matt. I'm the founder of Vive Media. We're a video production company based in Charleston, South Carolina. I've been doing video professionally for going on 3 or 4 years now, just as a hobby before then. And I love doing time-lapse, I love doing drones, I love doing all sorts of video, and we've just seen, it's kind of crazy how quickly the time has gone by over these past few years. And loving life, love to travel a lot. Simon's been helping me out a lot recently, and happy to be here.
Sweet. Yeah, thanks for joining me. So the main reason I wanted to do this was, first off, I have to make a video every day, and I was running out of ideas, so this was kind of one that popped up.
Yes.
But also, you've helped me out a lot as a young person who's kind of getting into the industry for the first time and like not really knowing how to make videos professionally. And I had some business experience, but it's different. It's its own beast with like the creative aspect to it. And you seem to have both of those down pretty well, and like obviously you figured out some way to make it work for yourself. So I wanted to kind of just dig in on some of the things that you think are important for people to focus on when they're first getting started, but then also just principles that you follow as you craft this life and this career of yours to be something that allows you to travel, to do what you love, and to make really good content that's valuable for people in the process. So I want to sort of dig into your story a little bit. I know a little bit about your backstory, but like you said, it started off as a hobby. So how did that start? When was the first time you kind of picked up a camera or a drone and just started going with it?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and to your point, it's still a like ongoing process. Like I'm still learning new things all the time of just good habits to keep and all that. But the first time I did a video in high school, I always did like decently well in school, but like I tried to give as little effort as I could to get like a B+. That was the kind of student I was. And so I took a course that was it was like TV and video production or something. And I thought that'll be cool, it'll be easy. And you know, it's like an elective class. You had to take a certain amount of electives. And so I took that class and I actually really enjoyed it and kind of enjoyed the creative process. And so that was just one semester, half a year in high school or something. And, the class was making a couple of funny videos, a couple of music videos and stuff, and nothing too challenging. And it was all on, I think maybe we used iMovie and like really old style video cameras. Mm-hmm. They're digital, but they're video cameras. After that, the first time I like did something myself was a music video for a friend who was trying to be an artist. It was either right at the end of high school and like maybe the summer right before college started, or maybe freshman year in college. And it was a music video that I helped film, and I edited the whole thing and actually appeared in the music video as well. Nice. That video is not on YouTube anymore, so you can't see it. It's private. But anyways, that was my first kind of forte, and I really enjoyed editing it. And then I had another business, which is a longer story, but right out of college, it was a golf cart taxi service. And we started making videos for that as a way to market it. I really bought into like video is the future of marketing and branding yourself and all that. So I bought a drone. It was the first time I ever bought a drone. It was maybe 2015. It was kind of before drones were everywhere. And so I got that, started trying to get good at it, and would just make videos of Folly Beach and Charleston, just pretty shots, and posting them on Facebook. And the golf cart taxi business started failing when Uber came into Charleston. And then I started trying to sell people on video because I enjoyed doing it. People were engaging with it on Facebook. That was before Facebook really crushed organic reach for businesses and stuff. So we were getting like 50,000 views, 25,000 views on a video that we just made for fun, basically. And so that's kind of how it started. You know, I was able to pitch a couple people on buying a video from me, creating a video for them, and just growing from there, you know, little by little.
So was there, obviously Uber killed the taxi business.
Yes.
And so was there a moment when you were like, I guess the next thing is I'll start a video business? Or was it just sort of like you're kind of closing this thing down and organically maybe this guy asked you for a video and then you started doing it, and then before you knew it you were kind of started being busy with like video clients?
It was actively pitching people on videos. No one was coming to me and saying, hey, make me a video. It was going out and reaching out to people and maybe making them a free video, or saying, hey, I'm starting to try and do video. Do you know anyone who wants video? And then they referred me to a friend. Any connections through like the College of Charleston that I had, that's where I went to school. Just reached out to, you know, hundreds of people, everyone that I knew, and said, this is what I'm doing now. Do you want to do it? Do you want to do it with me? Kind of thing. So that was pretty much it. Yeah.
Was that like, did you ever struggle with, before you had a really developed portfolio, like, I guess out of how many people that you would reach out to, do you think you ended up getting into a serious conversation with?
I mean, a pretty low percentage. Some people, it might have been, I reached out to them, I said, hey, this is what I'm doing. Maybe they responded, maybe they didn't. And then a year later, they're looking for someone who's doing video, and they're like, oh, I think Matt does video. Let me see if he's still doing that, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So there are definitely some connections that, you know, I reached out to him early and it came to fruition later. There were some immediate ones too. It was all really small budget or free stuff at the very start.
Did you have a certain type of company that you were narrowing in on, or was it just like anyone I know who might need a video in any sort of industry, I'm just going to go try to find it?
It was the latter. It was anyone who would want a video from me, basically.
And then did you like, so yeah, what were some of the first ones you did?
So the very first one we did was with and I say we, I had a partner at the very start. It was with a person who had a couple of beach rentals houses, a couple of rental properties on Folly Beach. And we just made a video for her rental properties to put on VRBO or wherever she was renting them. That was the very first one. We did something for the Yorktown Countdown and New Year's Eve party. That was another very early one that we did like winter of 2015. What else was really early? The first like big break we got almost was doing a video for the College of Charleston. And we got reached out to, I think I had known some people in the College of Charleston, so I was able to get a little article written up about doing drone photography and drone stuff in Charleston because it was so new at the time. They were interested in that story of an alumni doing things with drones. And someone at the college saw that, looked at some of our other videos and just saw the beautiful Charleston scenery, said, hey, I'm trying to get a video done for, it was for a freshman, kind of showing it to accepted student weekend, sorry. And we negotiated on the budget, and when we like landed the budget, it was like, I couldn't believe that I'd sold someone on, and now the budget's not very big to me. But at the time I was like, oh, I can't believe I'm getting a client this big that's willing to pay me money. And we put a lot of, you know, tons of time and effort into it. And then that was kind of a big piece that we said, hey, we did someone for College of Charleston, pretty big brand, people in Charleston, everyone knows that. So that was a pretty big building block for us.
Yeah. So when you started with drones, I guess in the taxi business, did you buy a camera also, or was it really just drone videos at the start?
We had a GoPro.
Oh, okay.
And so
nice.
we had a drone and a GoPro. Yeah.
Nice. When did you finally buy your first DSLR?
The first one that I ever owned myself was 2015.
Which one was it?
Panasonic GH4.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Do you think it was easy? Do you think it played to your advantage, or or disadvantage, or maybe it was neutral, that you were like focusing on drone at first, given the time that like drones weren't that popular? Like, were they intriguing and rare enough that, you know, maybe you were the only one that people would know with a drone? And like, did that help you maybe sell some more jobs?
I think at the start, yes. And then like maybe 6 months later, like everyone had a drone all of a sudden.
Yeah.
So pretty quickly we were like, okay, we need to start doing more than just drone. We were doing editing, video editing from the start. Like that was kind of part of what our pitch was. But we pretty quickly added on doing regular video as well as, at first our brand and like our sign and everything that was out front of our office had drone services, or drone was like on the sign. And we pretty quickly switched that because we realized that we needed to provide a full package for people.
Yeah. So you were pitching people at first and like getting these small budget free clients, then finally you landed like your first real serious one that you wanted to put a lot of work into and everything. At what point did it start shifting to like you're getting some inbound leads and people are starting to reach out to you, and that digital paper trail is starting to like make a splash in Charleston?
Maybe a couple years in, maybe like 2 years in, there'd be random leads that'll trickle in, but
just from like connections and friend of a customer or something.
Yeah, I mean that's where most of the leads come from, I think. Yeah.
So what do you think was one of the biggest keys for you to like get more of that? Because so just some background, what you've done in my eyes is, when I first started a little over a year ago, I reached out to you, and you had, you know, an established website and established portfolio, and it was like, this guy knows what he's doing in the industry. I want to, you know, figure out what the hell that is. And so since we started working together, you've provided a platform for me to work inside this industry as if I already had like the same amount of experience that you did. So like I could now use your portfolio and your client base to pitch other clients and like get other jobs, and they didn't always work out or whatever, but you just, you know, had that platform already. And what comes along with that is like inbound leads are coming in and everything like that too, and you've just got the infrastructure already, you know, existing, and since that really helped me a lot, whereas I didn't have to spend those 2 years to build that just alone, like without any of that. And so do you think is it just time of doing project after project and, you know, updating your website when you have enough new content, and then all of a sudden like now people just see it and start reaching out? Is there like one or two pivotal things that come to mind when I ask how do inbound leads come in, or how do you make the switch from doing mostly outbound to getting inbound?
Yeah, for sure. I think the main thing, well, one, it does take time, and just like being patient to establish yourself in somewhere. I think if you keep bouncing around and trying different things, or you know, one day you say you're a videographer, and then you're spending your time being a photographer, or, you know, then you're doing web design. If you're trying to do too many things, I've really just focused on like creating the best videos I can. I like to take photos sometimes too, but I don't sell photos. I don't sell prints. I don't do any of that. I just make videos. And I spent every day making videos, or doing the business of making videos, for at least 8 hours a day for the last 3+ years. And so it's like, I don't think I've hit anywhere near 10,000 hours, but I think it's that kind of principle that you need to put in the time to work on a craft, not a whole bunch of different things or bouncing around to different ideas. So I think it's sticking with something, and that pays off in terms of how your work will look. And I think that's probably the biggest part, is you're only as good as like the last video that you made. So when people come to your website, or you're reaching out to them and saying, hey, this is some work I've done, it needs to look good. If it doesn't look good, then they're not going to hire you, or they're not going to give you that time of day. of even having a further conversation with them. You know, you won't even get to talking about a budget if your work doesn't look good. So I think that's the most important thing in terms of getting leads, is having work that looks good. But it's definitely true that it doesn't matter how good your work looks if no one's seeing it. Mm-hmm. So people need to be seeing your work. And for me, that's putting it on your website, having a nice professional website that you can send people to so you look like a professional. You're not just posting it on Instagram and saying, hey, look at my Instagram page to a 40 or 50-year-old person. I mean, I think that's getting more accepted now, to like for that to be your portfolio. Mm-hmm. But I think as a brand, as a professional person, you have to have a website, because it just adds authenticity to it. But then also putting it out on social media, sharing it on your personal social media page to get your friends and, just people who are random friends or friends of friends seeing it. I think those are the biggest things, getting it seen. And there's other things you can do, like getting your website, having good SEO on your website, having your Google listing set up, and asking people to review your page so you have good reviews, getting Facebook reviews, getting Facebook page likes. There are all those little things, but I think the core of it is doing really good work, or the best work that you can do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would describe you as a perfectionist from having worked with you. And that's something that I've learned about. Like, anytime we're working on a video together, you always notice all these little details that don't matter, but they matter. Mm-hmm. And I think the work speaks for itself. Like, I remember when I was first starting, I think I posted something on Facebook. This is like when we were first getting to know each other. I posted something on Facebook about how, like, just how important it was to go to reach out to people and try to sell. And you said something like, a good portfolio will speak for itself. Like, not disagreeing with what I was saying, but I just remember that.
I think I said something like, you were like saying, oh, I'm going to spend like 4 hours a day, like sending emails to
cold
people
calling,
to sell people. I said, you should spend that time making a video.
Yeah.
Or doing something video wise.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And there's such a balance between the two. 'Cause I mean, we can kind of get into where you're at now, and the balance between those two things, it is now like, how much time are you spending on projects that you want to be doing in the future, and how much time are you spending let me rephrase this. How much time are you spending on projects that you don't want to be doing in the future, but are, something that made sense for right now? And how much time are you spending pushing yourself towards, or pushing your portfolio towards, stuff that you want to be doing in the future? Because there's always that disparity between, like, someone's willing to pay me for this video and it's a great budget, but I don't really, like, I wouldn't do it if no one was paying me for it. Mm-hmm. The dream's always to do work that you would do for free anyways.
Sure.
So there's a question wrapped in there somewhere, but like,
I'm looking for it.
So what would you say now is your current biggest struggle? What's your current biggest struggle in business right now?
My current biggest struggle in business, it's trying to grow. So, and like hit goals that I've set out for myself. Some of them are financial goals of how much I want to earn. Some are the types of projects that I want to work on, and so that kind of alludes to what you're talking about. Not everything that I do ever sees my portfolio, because it's not really on brand for what I want my brand to look like. But it brings in cash, and you need cash to live and mm-hmm. to do fun things like travel and live life. That's my current biggest struggle is trying to do some new things, trying to expand in a way that keeps the video quality really high, because I can't do everything that comes in now. It's not possible. Mm-hmm. And to really focus on only working on the projects that are exciting and drive the brand in the right direction, and are working with the right companies that there's a lot of opportunity for growth. I'm working with them more times, and it fits in with the brand that I want to create.
What's the best way to push towards those companies and those projects that you want to work with more?
I think it's one is just making the content. There's a great quote by Chase Jarvis, who's a photographer and businessman, entrepreneur. And I'm going to screw up the exact quote, but he basically said, create the stuff that you want to sell. So he was a big ski photographer, and you're never going to sell someone on ski photography if you can't show them some great photography of people skiing. So for me, I really enjoyed doing time-lapse stuff. And so I went out and created a big time-lapse video, and that doesn't mean I get like a crazy amount of time-lapse work because it's pretty niche, but I do get some. And so it's definitely creating stuff that, or like I like to travel a lot, and so that's definitely an example of go to a really cool place, gives you the opportunity to work with a pretty cool brand usually, that maybe if you're just in Charleston, they wouldn't be interested in the Charleston concept, but if you're going to Ecuador or Norway or Peru, then that's interesting and different, and an opportunity that doesn't come across their desk every day. So for me, it's traveling to really unique and cool places and finding brands to work with in those places, even if it's not paying a huge amount of money. Maybe I'm breaking even, or maybe I'm not breaking even on the trip. But that's definitely one way I do it, and then just taking time to work on something that you think is cool, in, a personal project.
Do you set aside time to do personal projects, like in your calendar, or do you sometimes like forget about it and only work on client stuff? And like, do you have a structure for how you make sure that you work on that stuff that you care about?
I do not have a structure for it. Maybe I should, but I totally don't. And a lot of times I find myself just working on client stuff too much. And I do plenty of fun stuff as well, but I definitely don't do enough of that stuff because it's so rewarding when you do it and you're able to put it out into the world. Something that's just totally yours. You don't have to worry about client revisions or like having the branding in the right places. It's just something that's completely yours. And I think that's really rewarding, and don't do it enough for sure.
Yeah, man. I agree with that. What do you think? So what are some mistakes that you see people who are like just getting started out making a lot?
Oh man, like common mistakes. I see some people who like don't have any website. I think that's a big mistake. Just having their portfolio on Instagram or something. It's really easy to make a website. A website doesn't have to be super nice or anything, but it's good to have a website. Put your work on there. I think the biggest mistake though I see is people who are just copying other videographers that they see online or on Instagram or wherever they're seeing it. Taking someone else's style or transitions or the look of their colors, and they're just putting everything in slow motion and just copying someone else's style or their tricks of video editing and things like that. I think that's the biggest mistake that anyone can make. You have to do your own thing.
So I think there's some value when you're first getting started in copying people to a certain extent, because
Why do you think that?
Because what else are you going to go off of, really, in my opinion? So when I started, I was doing vlogs, and I like took a lot of inspiration from Casey Neistat vlogs, and that was like the only thing that I really saw that was accessible for me to make, and so I just sort of plugged myself into that style, and through doing that, I realized, oh geez, this is exactly like Casey Neistat's vlog. Like, I want to go find some more inspiration, or like stop doing that. And so that was around the time I think I reached out to you, and I like started exposing myself to other forms of inspiration. And now I do a lot of time-lapse stuff, and that's like, I learned everything I know about time lapses from you basically. And so I think there's something to say about how your style is an amalgamation of the people that you copy from. Do you agree with that? Like, do you have people's styles that you take from, or how do you make an original style?
I don't know if there's any like way to make an original style besides doing your own thing for years and years. I think I'm still kind of making my own style. Yeah, I agree with a little bit of that, but I'm push you on some of it as well, because I think it's good if you see some editing trick, and I definitely do this. I see someone, I'm like, whoa, how did they do that? And I'll try and stop the video and look at it frame by frame. So like, oh, they're kind of doing this, and then like figuring it out, and you learn something new in the editing process. But then if you do the exact same thing they did, I don't like that. I think you could take the same thing they did, but maybe you do it in just a bit different way. That's kind of new. I mean, it's hard to, there's so many people out there doing video that you might do something and you think it's new and someone else has done it. But if you didn't see it and copy it, then I think it's yours. Yeah, I'm gonna push you on it a little bit, because I think so many people watch Casey Neistat and so many people do the same editing style. As you look at, there's so many and it just kind of becomes generic. So if you're not putting your own spin on it, I think people will say, oh, it's just another kind of Casey Neistat knockoff or Sam Coda knockoff or whatever.
Yeah.
And for me, I instantly tune that stuff out.
Yeah.
Because it's just not new. It's not like, it's not creative to me.
I totally get that. And I think, I still think that so like when someone's first starting out, maybe I'm just more sympathetic to this because I'm closer to the start. But I think you almost have to start there, because like I felt like I didn't have anything else to go off of, and I wouldn't have realized that I was copying until I started doing it and experiencing and trying to cut up a video in a certain way. And then through that experience, I found out that this is, I'm not being totally original and so I guess what I'm trying to say is I think what pushes me to be more original is doing something, like creating something that isn't as original as it could be, and then looking back at what you just created and thinking, how can I make this more my style next time? And so there's always like, you're like pushing away from the old and into the new. So maybe we're talking about the same thing, and it's just the process of pushing into the originality. But yeah, there's a lot to that.
There definitely is a lot to it. And yeah, I just think that's, for me, like, I think that's when people really start to like catch on to your work, is when it's different. That means it stands out.
Yeah, totally.
From people. Or someone will pay a premium because you're the only person who creates work that looks like this. And this other guy could make a video, but it's not going to look like your video. Everyone has the same tools that they're on hand. Everyone has the same cameras, the same editing equipment. I mean, at some point, stuff's more expensive than other stuff. But if you break it down, everyone at some point can, has the same, more or less the same tools. And so what makes you different is the eye you have, or the editing skills you have, or the eye for the editing skills. So I think that's like the divider. So maybe at the start, I still don't think it's good to even at the start, you could watch other people's stuff and then try and do it a little bit different.
So where do you think that eye comes from? Like, is that just something that you're born with? Like, you have a certain way that you like to see footage cut?
I definitely do have a certain way I like to see stuff cut.
And like, do you think you were just born with that, or like did that come from practicing, or?
I think it's just like, I don't really know the answer to that. I think it is partially like your environment, or like just how you feel about footage, and I think no one has a style at the start. It's just kind of like blah, or like a brain dump of ideas or colors or whatever. But I think it just comes with time, and like
Yeah.
I think it's always progressing. I don't think anyone ever like. I mean, at some point, I guess you might lock in on like a style and like, but that's like ideal. You want to get to a point where someone can watch a video and be like, oh, I think so and so made that video because it looks like something that so and so would make. And they're definitely, I mean, if you look out there, there's, like you're saying, Casey Neistat or any of those bigger names, you recognize their style right away.
Yeah.
And that's what makes them great.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that. Like, when I feel like there's a moment when somebody clicks, and it like clicks into their style, and I think it still evolves after that, of course.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
But it's like, I don't know, maybe it's, I mean, the word authentic is used so much, but it's really like being, when you figure out how to express something in you through videos or through art that's like really authentic and original, and you're really not trying to make it look a certain way for anybody, but you're just like making the best thing you possibly can make, period.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
I've actively stopped following like the majority of other creatives, video people that I used to follow on Instagram and YouTube and stuff because I don't want to see other people's work.
Yeah.
Like I'll watch some other people's work who are really like, to me, top level, and I don't want to do the exact same thing they're doing, but I can maybe emulate it in my own way. But I've actively unfollowed people because I felt like I was watching too much other stuff, and I just wanted to watch my own stuff. Like that sounds kind of like narcissistic or something, but like I like just trying to focus on my own stuff and like my own style and improving my own work.
Yeah, I think that's important. Like shutting out the channels and
there's a lot of noise out there.
Yeah,
a lot of noise out there.
Yeah. So, this is the last question that I have, or that I wrote down at least. So what do you think, and it kind of ties in with a lot of what we're talking about, so maybe we can just put a bow on it, but
sure.
What do you think is the number one thing people should focus on? So like if you were talking to a room of 1,000 young people who are like, I want to start making money doing videos, I want to like have a better life, I want to do all this and that, what would be the advice and what would be the main focus for them?
To work on making videos every single day. Like regardless of if you're getting paid for it or if you're doing it for free or you're just doing it for yourself, or it doesn't matter what it is, but work on making videos every single day. And it could be like the business of video is important too. If you're just freelancing or starting your own agency or whatever, then knowing how to talk to people and knowing how to pitch someone or figure out how to get higher budgets through what you're saying and how you're looking and how you appear on all those things are important as well. And I think that's part of what someone should work on if they're going into freelancing and not trying to work for someone else's company where they're just filming and editing, but just working on that every day. I think is the most important thing. A lot of people say, "Oh, I want to do this," and I don't think that many people will put in like 8 or 10 hours a day to try and get better at it.
Yeah, you can really tell too who wants it by the actions. Like you have to look at what people do, not what people say, because they say two different things.
A lot of people who you're right will say, I want to be doing video work. Can we do some video work for you? And you say, okay, what kind of videos have you made in the last? I always ask people, what videos have you made in the last 2 months? And some people have nothing that they've made in the last 2 months. So I'm like, okay, that's the end of the conversation.
Yeah, no, that's a valid litmus test, I think. So moral of the story is everyone should be doing Vlogtober. So
not enough people are doing Vlogtober. It's true.
All right, man, that's all I got for you. You have anything else you want to add or leave all the followers with?
Man, thanks for tuning in.
Sweet.
Yeah, man.
Thanks for doing this.
Hell yeah.